Hello, welcome back. So today we are going to do this super fun, very colorful, super easy tumbler. Let's get started. Okay, I started off in Design Space. I took a square and made it 10 inches by 1.33. I ended up actually taking one of the threes off just to make it exactly the length of the tumbler going up and down. The 10 inches was going around, but that was giving me just a little bit of extra on the back side so I could, stretch it and cut it where I needed to. So I duplicated this 6 times because that was how many I divided the tumbler, the amount of inches going down the tumbler. I divided it, and that was the amount of strips that it was going to take. So I lined them up here so that I could make sure that the width and the length was where I needed it to be. So I went all the way over them, collected all of them in a group, and then centered them just to make sure that my diameters were, the right diameters. And that's when I realized that I needed to make each one of those strips just a tiny bit smaller so that we could fit it in just right all the way up and down the tumbler. So when I went to make it, I actually stretched each one of those elongated strips. I stretched it all the way out through the entire sheet. It was a 12-inch by 12-inch sheet of this vinyl that I had. And so I wanted them to kind of be separated to get all of the colors, because the way that the pattern was in the vinyl, it made sense to do this. So I started off with a 20-ounce straight from the Glitter Ranch. I just cleaned it up with acetone, and then right after that I used alcohol to clean it off and get it all nice and prepped and ready for the vinyl stripes that we were going to put on there. So my plan was to make a rainbow effect on the tumbler. So I actually started off with the second strip there because it had more red in it, and I wanted it to go from red to orange to yellow to green, do the rainbow effect going down the tumbler. The other part of the actual vinyl was not as colorful in the rainbow sense. So the rainbow effect was a little bit lost only on the back side, but when you see the end result, well, you have already seen the end result, but when we get to that point, I actually put a strip down the back, kind of what I think is the back, but actually I think it might be the front. I don't know. I had such a vision, and everything kind of happened, and it wasn't exactly what I thought, but it actually turned out really awesome. So anyways, I was really excited about the way this actual tumbler came out. So I just continued to put these stripes on there. Now, starting off, I've always said this, starting off with that very first stripe on the very first one on the top or the bottom, wherever you're beginning, you want that to be the most straight and perfect stripe that you can get, because that is going to lead you down the rest of the tumbler, and it's going to guide you to be as straight on each one of those stripes. That's the best advice I can give you. Just take your time in the beginning, and then you pretty much will have smooth sailing going down the rest of the tumbler. And starting off in the same spot every time going down, and starting and slicing it in the same spot going down, allows you to have, really good uniformity in the design that you're doing. So whatever pattern, whatever, design you have on your vinyl, you want to start in the same place and end in the same place. And it will definitely help you, even though it looks off from the other piece, it still looks uniformed because you've done such a great job of keeping it straight all the way down. So as you can see here, the rainbow is actually going down the back side, which I thought was going to be the front side. And I started to realize about halfway through that this was going to be a little bit different than what I had originally planned. So this holographic vinyl I found at a store by my house. The shipping from that place is ridiculous, so I'm not even going to tag it, but you can definitely find some kind of 3D holographic vinyl anywhere on Amazon. I will try to find something that is, you know, somewhat similar. But there were these tiny little squares that were 3D, and there were lines going all the way down each row of the squares, and so I was cutting them on those lines the best that I could. That's the reason I didn't use my Cricut, because I knew it would not be able to get me on that exact line. So I did have a few mishaps, and if you'll remember my cactus tumbler, I actually was able to use one of these strips that I didn't cut just right to put on that tumbler, so that worked out well. So I just took each one of these stripes and put it right in the center of these lines going all the way down. And then I took one final strip and put it going down the back side. And it gave me a real nice uniformed look. And I really love the way it turned out. So I did not seal this holographic vinyl, which in hindsight I should have. I always seal my metallic vinyls like this, and I didn't do it this time. I thought, it'll be all right if I don't do it. Well, it was not all right. Well, it was okay. It just started lifting up on the back side. That long strip kind of lifted up on the very top, and so I ended up having to put 2 coats of epoxy on here, and then I was able to sand a little bit of that poking that was coming out from that lifting up a little bit. So it actually worked out that I was able to sand it down. But if you don't put more than 2 coats of epoxy, I would not do any kind of sanding, because you're going to sand straight through to the vinyl or to the tumbler itself. So just be very, very careful. So all in all, I ended up putting 3 coats of epoxy to one to put it on first, the second one so that I could sand it, and then the third one obviously to have a final finished coat. So after that, we were done, and I thought about 10 different decals that I could put on here or power wash and whatnot, but it was so stunning, and it was just awesome the way it was, and so colorful and so perfect for June and summer, and I just thought it turned out great. Please, if you remake this, let me know, join my group, and I will see you next time.